yeah, but I could do it wrong first, then go right.
Yeah.
What can I say? Life is interesting.
Well, sometimes that's what happens in dating too. We do
Indeed.
something wrong and go, oh, that didn't work. Let's do it the other way. And that would maybe make people start taking things personally that they shouldn't about our subject today.
Look how that happened. Amazing how we start the show that way with chaos on the technical side.
It's remarkable how that happens. Because today, Barry and I are going to talk about stop taking everything personally. Because oh my gosh, I was a gold medal winner at that for a very long time in my life until I learned how much wasn't personal and the things that was personal that sometimes I didn't take personally. So we'd like to welcome you to our show today. It's on the newsstreamingnetwork.com, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV and podcast #1 Internet Singles Talk Network. And this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine.
We solved the technical issues.
Yes, again. Chaos, weirdness, who knows?
Yeah, it's not even Mercury or anything.
Right.
So I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I've found that men and women seem pretty equal in taking things personally that really are personal and things that aren't, but you get over it faster and you sort it out faster and you don't complain about it and talk about it as much as women. But I saw your face, so please give me your male perspective on that.
I'm sitting with that premise because I'm like, is that true or is that not true for me? I think in a lot of ways what it is that maybe we take it the same level of person, that we take it personally on the same level. However, I think men oftentimes are maybe more vocal in expressing their upset in that sense, not necessarily in the painful way, but more in an angry way, because that's one of the tools that is at hand for a lot of men in life, unfortunately, because it has to be managed to own that very well. So the thing is, for me, my experience with men taking these personally is it's more of a hack or rise and they get their back up and they get kind of upset. I think maybe, and I'm guessing, not saying I know for sure, but I would suspect for a lot of women, they take it internally versus externally. And so it seems like men have more of a visible upset about it. But I think the truth is the upset's for the same for both, just is expressed or restored differently between the two genders, generally speaking.
I think that's a really valid point. And I think often we can get very defensive, whether we internalize it or externalize it, when we're feeling like something is personal that's really wrong. I think that that's one of the hardest things when we feel misunderstood and misheard, and that people are acting on what we think is misinformation. And then we do take it personally and we feel very defensive. And there's times when, with the verbal part of men, it's almost like you're going to fight to your own death or somebody else's death, not physically harming them, but that you're going to stick to it. And we women will have a verbal assault as well, that our internal happens is that we will emotionally and physically sometimes back up when that happens. When something real that feels very personal, and can be that somebody has said something that was truly hurtful or truly mean or completely was wrong and didn't even want to understand that it was wrong. I think that's so valid to take any of those situations personally. And then what in the heck do we do with it? That you're boiling over out and we're boiling over in, and that nobody's going to win. Neither side is going to win when that happens.
Right. I think that, to me, and I'll make this point now because we're going to talk a lot more on the show, but I think one of the things that we have this bad habit doing is thinking that words can hurt us. Yeah. As simple as that. It's like sticks and stones may break my bones, but won't never hurt me. Well, we don't live by that nursery rhyme or that kid's phrase. We take things personally and we get upset over words that are said. And it may be more so now than it ever was in the past, because of social media. That the vitriol that shows up in communication over social media perhaps is probably the biggest impact having on people's feelings now than it ever did, because so much of social media is about representing ourselves visually, because it's video and pictures, that sort of thing too. And for me, I mean, I've learned over the years about this and teaching in my work too, but from like Eleanor Roosevelt was saying about what you think of me is none of my business. If that was true, we wouldn't be getting upset all the time. So something tells me we're not actually living that truth,
Very true. And one of the things I know about us women, because it certainly happens to me, that when somebody says something that's critical, whether it's the truth or not,
right?
We very often take it to heart and try to resort ourselves. We are very reactive to criticism in trying to change, trying to please the person that was displeased with us for whatever what we wore, what we said, what we did or didn't do. That when somebody is critical about it, or even, gosh, I really liked your hair, do better yesterday, which isn't saying I don't like your hair today. They might be, or they might not even be, but we take it as, oh, what is it that's different? And what should I go back to doing that? And we drive ourselves crazy. And I am so, even as enlightened as I would say I am, and as much as I've studied this and teach it, I am not immune. I will never be immune. I have to just catch myself when I start feeling so reactive when somebody says something to kind of check it out. It was funny. Day at my exercise class, this girl came up to me and she said, gosh, you're so curvy. And I felt myself just like have maybe a 0.01 reaction. And I said, is that a compliment? She goes, oh yeah, I wish I had the same curves as you. And I thought, thank you, that's really nice. So I checked it out. And it was, I could feel it. But oh my gosh, earlier in my life, I would have just crumbled and I would have not said anything to her. And I would have come home feeling my feelings were hurt. And it turned out she genuinely, I could tell, meant it as a compliment. But oh my gosh, we're so self-conscious about our bodies generally in the world, a lot because of social media. I really have worked very hard and I'm so comfortable with however my body looks all the time. But it was such a shocking thing to happen. And I thought, I have to bring this story up in this video because, oh my gosh, how harsh that could have felt.
Well, the thing is, and I'll say this because you did the smartest thing was you checked it out. You didn't run with the pain of like, oh my God, she thinks the bad thing about me. You just said, is that good or bad?
She thinks I'm fat.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, that's the assumptions that get made. And we have this bad habit as human beings of laying on top of what somebody says, our own vitriol, upset, woundedness that we're carrying around inside. So even if they were saying something nice, we don't take it that way because we've been trained over years or whatever, or because of our own internal programming, that what's said to us has impact and we end up becoming like pincushions for those wounds. And it's such an unfortunate choice because who knows how many people have said something to us that was not meant to be given out of such vitriol, but we took it in that way because we somehow felt that we were wrong for whatever reason. I mean, most of us have history that's that's given us beliefs about the way things are and the way we receive information. So then when someone says something to us, we put it in the bucket of that's an insult, not a compliment, without even realizing it.
Yeah.
So it can be really challenging.
So challenging. And I continued the conversation where they said, gosh, when I was a teenager, I had I had breasts, but the rest of me was very straight up and down. And the rest of me looked like a boy. I mean, I really had trouble buying curvy girl clothes because I didn't have. So I really have enjoyed having curves as an adult woman. So it was really fun to just actually own it because I wasn't busy having the chatter about she's telling me I'm fat or I should lose weight in the middle of this exercise class. It was so interesting to what goes on in our heads when it's so not personal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just wild.
It's such an, I mean, on the physical appearance stuff, just to speak this out, it's one of these things that just is one of those sort of bizarre things, is that there are 8 billion people on the planet. We're all different ages, just what, looks, skin color, all that stuff. We vary so much. And so when we think that we are not as good looking as somebody else, it doesn't have any reference point, really. It's like everyone is looking the way they're looking. And because we're all, to be blunt, meat sacks, yeah, because someone has, and it's interesting because I have some friends of mine who work in the plastic surgery industry. It's interesting. It's funny because I'm listening to a science fiction trilogy on audio right now, and it's set in the future. But they don't call them plastic surgeons; they call them carvers. which is such a morbid term, but it also makes sense. Like, you're trying to carve beauty into something like you would if you're doing the clay model or marble. And so there's this attachment people have to looking a certain way that is really time-based. Because the other thing also I want to say, just to make it more complicated, is that the way that looks were appreciated 500 years ago were very different than they are today. We've been through just the way fashion changes every 2 years, go from like short to long, skinny to wide, all these different things. But buxom was the most attractive term, 100 years ago, 150 years ago. Now, then it went through like the Twiggy era back in the 60s, and it's changing now. So beauty really does shift all the time. So when we start thinking that we have to look a certain way, how honest is that? How real is that? Because we may be attached to a transitory experience of what life is supposed to look like. So it is a challenge. And yeah, for like myself, I've been hiking now regularly for 6-7 years because after the pandemic started, I was like, I need to get out and do something. And so I've gotten in much better shape physically just by doing that, not muscle bound or fitness or anything else. Whoops, why don't I know my picture?
I don't know. Where'd you go?
I don't know. Siveri, put me back.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Barry, come back, please.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm in the show. There we go. Someone messing with the cameras. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
I was saying. So I've definitely taken care of myself, and I feel much happy about my physiology. And I've also got used to the fact that I don't have hair anymore. So it's like I've adjusted to how I look rather than trying to adjust my look to how I want to feel,
Yeah.
And that's part of the thing is we both have the experience of we've grown into who we've become. And maybe it's a sign of maturity. Maybe it's just a sign of not fighting it anymore, So the choice is interesting.
Well, and it's good that you brought up the thing about how just the world is transitory. Our bodies are transitory. We're always physiologically changing. We're sloughing skin every day if you want to really do the whole physiology part. We're sloughing hair. We're going through just, yes, everything's great. We're constantly metabolically, physiologically changing. We're learning, having new thoughts learning about the world, learning about ourselves, learning about other people. So how can we say that we're anything static? That if something's changing, we have to go, do I like this? Can I own it? I know I can't do as many of the hard physical things that I used to do. What can I still do now? So I love my jazzercise class because it feels like dancing. And it's every level of age and physical. And all of us I still have my shoulder thing. So I don't lift weights. I go stand up to the side and do lots of leg stuff. And what's really nice is when you go, this is who I am, and I'm very fine with it. Then that's the other way to not try, because that was why I only had a tiny reaction to her thought, because I thought, well, I'm really happy with how I look. I'm maintaining it by going to class. And so, wow, if she's saying something negative, it doesn't really land as fact to me, but stuff used to land as fact when somebody would say stuff and I didn't know to check it out. So now I could say, let's see if she's talking about the same facts I know about my body. And it turned out she did. And if she wasn't, I could say, oh, okay, that's her opinion, but I wouldn't have to internalize it because it's not my opinion, because I've seen the evolution of how I look and I'm okay with it. So boy, being okay with what you're thinking, how your body is, how your soul and your heart, to stay current and know that it's always in flux.
Yeah, that is probably the truth about maturity and evolving into who we really are. Something that crossed my mind earlier, and I want to see if this lands because it has some relevance, is it feels like in a way that the closer we get to somebody, the more personally we'll take stuff if they say something negative about us, which is why it's about relationship dating, because we're going to get into that feel, because somebody in the gym is great or somebody out in the world is fine. But when it's your primary partner who says something that gets under your armor, so to speak, how do you feel then? How do you handle the, in quotes, attack that you think you're taking, even though they may not have meant it that way? Of course, if they did mean it, make it that way, if they didn't mean it that way, it's on another level. But if they didn't mean it, you took it personally, then what?
Oh my gosh. So that's why as you're getting to know somebody over time, for I am the queen of this, that I put out a little bit and I see how they respond. Do they accept it? Do they have questions about it? Do they want more information? Do they say, oh no, can't that at all? Then I wouldn't share more. But if they say, oh, that's interesting, tell me more, or oh gosh, I feel exactly the same way, then I would tell them more about me. So my goal is always to all 100% tell the truth, but it's a little bit of truth at a time. And I give them access to more opportunity to hurt my feelings.
Hmm.
That's what happens over time. And what's hard is that your family of origin, you're just kind of thrown into it, and you're so vulnerable when you're little because you're completely dependent on them. And a lot, you look it up, all the attachment information, a lot is formed then, but before we're 6 and we have any way of sorting it out. And then we react often as an adult to a lot of the ways that we felt criticized or disapproved of or misunderstood. So then, as an adult, part of what you and I do with our coaching is to help people look back and say, got why it was then. Totally made sense. It was a fact then. And would you like to believe something different now? Would you like to have different outcomes in your life now? So let's decide that that isn't the truth now. I had a client the other day bring up Byron Katie, and I do suggest her a lot, but I hadn't suggested her to him about what is the truth? Is this really the truth? No, is it really the truth? Because that's the part where you start with you about what's your truth. And then it helps you be less reactive and less internalizing, especially with somebody that's a little farther out. And then you just need to practice with the people as you're letting them get closer to your heart, because there's no way you can't not feel vulnerable and not be in love. That's part of it. I mean, if you kept yourself in guard, you wouldn't be able to fall in love and let somebody fall in love with you, and that would be sad.
Which is the whole reason we talk about the shows. You want to hopefully be falling in love with the right person. So yes,
Yeah.
but yes, and that's the thing is, it is a leap of faith and a leap of trust to enter into a relationship with somebody who has access to your emotions and to your way of being. That if they were not the one you want to be with, they could basically really mess you up in a sense by the way they say things to you negatively, or criticize you, or just make you upset. So it is, as you said, a good idea to build over a series of dates that sense of trust and safety. Intimacy is built over time, not immediate. And so it is important, that I mean, quote, throw another book, another quote on the table, which is, from the 4 agreements, second agreement is don't take things personally. Easier said than done.
Yeah, when I came to that one, I was like, really?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do that all the time?
Yeah, like do your best is easy, but not taking personally, not so easy.
No, yeah, I like the do your best one. I was like, okay, you got me reeled in, but now don't take stuff personally. Ugh. It was really a challenge. And really, what is personally? Because that's the thing. If it's something that you're not happy about, then you can choose to do something about it. Not because somebody else said something, but because you're like, oh, this isn't working well in my life. But often, one of the things I learned, we did lots of therapy when I was growing up. And one of the things I learned was the thing that you're finding the most disagreeable about somebody else is often you haven't noticed or acknowledged in yourself. And oh, that was eye-opening, because then I started really paying attention to all the things that were annoying about other people.
Oh yeah, that was all the projection work I did when I was in seminar training back in the 80s, and learning that the fact is the projection was something that we have with everything and everybody.
Yep.
And so it has this level of being something that really pisses off because somebody's just doing something that we know we would do otherwise and we don't want to do, so we blame them for it and we start judging.
Yeah.
So that underplans the whole thing. I don't want to go too far into this. I know we're going to take a break in a moment. So we'll talk about more about that after we come back from the break.
Such a good skill to just be aware of, and then begin the challenging but very rewarding practice.
Yep.
Well, I'm hoping even at this point in the show, you are getting intrigued, people that are watching and listening, because this is such an important subject that can keep us centered into ourselves, learning what to take personally and not. So if you'd like to talk to me about that, the best way is to go to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com, and click on the What's Holding You Back from Love questionnaire and fill out 8 brief questions about what's not working and what would you like to be better. And then we can talk. You can schedule a complimentary, no obligation conversation with me through my online calendar at your convenience. You could also send me a personal and private email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com. And how would people reach you, Barry?
Well, similar to Christine, I have a website and an email address, so let me give you those. If you go to my website, which is my name, barryselby.com, at the top of the screen on my homepage, there is a button you click on, which is Let's Chat. And similar to Christine, I have my calendar and also a little form you fill out, and that will schedule you for a conversation with me, like a 20-minute Zoom call or a phone call, depending what you prefer. And we can talk and see where you are and if I can help you, and we can go from there. Also, you can drop me an email at barry@barryselby.com, and we'll say more about the rest of the stuff at the end of the show.
So we're going to take a quick break from our wonderful station, the newstreamingnetwork.com, that puts out our live episodes and our podcast. And we'll be right back with Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry to talk more about how to stop taking everything personally.
See you in a moment.
Hi, and we're back with Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. And today we're talking about how to stop taking everything personally. I spent way too many years doing that. I didn't know any of these tools about how to not do it. I really had no idea. And boy, one of the most amazing things I learned when I really started examining was this personal, is how many things weren't that I was taking personally. And so hurt and so upset and so frustrated. Because yes, there are things that are truly, really hurtful. And okay, you could be upset and hurt and frustrated. Hopefully we can give you tools of what to do about it when that happens. But it's such a hard waste of energy to get so upset about something that wasn't personal at all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things is, oftentimes when somebody does say something to us, if we simply stop for a moment and notice where it's coming from, not from who it's coming from, but how it's coming to us. Because oftentimes somebody gets upset with us, it's upset inside of them because they're projecting to us, through a projection from before the break. And so their vitriol is really self-inflicted, but they're just spewing it at us, hoping to get offloaded onto us. So in a way, one of the good things about this, and I've had this happen quite often for me recently, is where I can almost stand there like I'm wearing like a raincoat and it's not going to affect me, and generally speaking, because I just realized they're upset. So I don't take it personally because I know it's all about them and it's all in them. And the truth is, when that happens, and this is one of the tricks about personal growth and is becoming aware, is when somebody's upset, the upset's inside of them, which means they have the discomfort, the pain, and the toxins. If we don't take it personally, we're fine. Now, the key thing is, if somebody does say something negative to us, is there value in what they're saying that I can use? Not so much that I need to take umbrage with what they're saying and become upset with what they're saying and become, victimized and upset that way. No. But if it said something that was like, you know what, I understand, it's almost like separating the message from the energy, where we can say, okay, so yes, they're upset, they're pissed off, that's all about them. But what they said, there's value, I can use that in how I can change what I'm doing. That's a smart way of using the energy. So you use it in a way it's beneficial and you become much more effective, because frankly, they will probably end up changing their mood after they see you've changed. But you didn't do it from upset, you did it from choice,
Oh boy, yes. Often I'll talk to couples about, here's what I heard your intent was, and here's what I heard the impact was. And they were pretty far apart. So your intent was honorable, well-meaning, but the impact, for whatever reason, landed hurtful or angry. And so to acknowledge, possibly it's your old stuff that's causing you to react this way, often that is, or maybe you have some sort of an agreement and, oh my gosh, I used these words instead of those words. And so of course you would think that I meant this instead of that. So that it's not to find fault or blame, because that's where we often start with both people, is, oh, my intention was really good, and boy, I see the impact, and it wasn't my intention. I'm so sorry. I see what happened with my words. I see what happened with what I did or didn't do. I really understand that now. And we now have a way of, we can both do better. So to catch it when it's small, that's the thing. Because often when the intent is one thing and the impact is another, we pull back and get mad and get resentful, and they get defensive, and that's really not what I meant. And it just escalates, and there's no tools that are used or known about, and everything's almost worse than it was if you said, this is really what I needed, and this is really what I needed, and how do we both get what we needed? Because isn't that the thing? If you love each other, you want to give the other person what they needed. But if you can't say, oh gosh, like I told the story about, which I won't retell, but how I yelled at my husband and he pulled out the thing and he read it and everything got lighter. But because we had this tool in the middle of me not having enough food or sleep, because it was all me being such a terrible, bitchy person, because he had really done nothing to deserve me yelling at him. But to say, oh yeah, it's me being tired and hungry, that's really my job to fix that. And but we had this tool to bring the bad, hard tension energy down, that then we could laugh about it and get through it. So when you've had these moments in your life and you like, oh my gosh, it happens over and over, it's because both of you are taking something personally that really isn't in the way that you're taking it.
Yeah.
That's what happens often, because people can say things that are very personal to you. You know, I don't like your attitude. I mean, reviews, I would just quake in my boots about reviews. And I would hardly hear all the, because you're supposed to start with the good things. I would hardly hear the good things because I kept waiting for the one or two bad things there were, because I just knew that was going to be horrible because I was raised in a family like that. Right. So I had to really work on that to take in the good. And then, well, yes, the feedback from your boss is really helpful. And I really want to learn how to do that better. And what classes could I take? And what support could you give me? And as you said, it's sometimes easier from somebody who's a little less important. But to learn that skill to then bring to a personal relationship was so helpful.
Absolutely. And it's such a potent recognition that we have the experience. I mean, looking back at my own upbringing, the compliments were very minimal. So it wasn't so much that it was an odd negative stuff, but it's like come from the English reserve family, wasn't a very expressed emotion. So we didn't have a spectrum of feedback that was going from like negative to positive. So it was almost in a way that I was not so much immune, because I actually had more challenges when I was at school than I did at home. But there weren't words weaponized in their family, let's say it that way. Whereas outside the family, you know, like at school and other things like that, as I shared before on the show, getting bullied in high school was one of the things where I definitely had that stuff being attacked verbally. And it was more verbal than physical, frankly, most of the time. It was the threat that was the fear, not the actual, you know, anything else. But in adult life, and again, been through all the trainings I've been through over the years, decades of them, I've really learned to navigate how to be able to buffer what comes in and then choose how I want to respond. Because the challenge is when we get such things personally, when somebody says something to us, we tend to be in place of reactivity versus responsiveness. And that's when we get into trouble, because reaction is not conscious, it's not intentional, it's not volitional. It's basically like throwing up. It's involuntary. It's like throw back to the person. On a bad visual, I know. But that place of understanding is that when we learn how to become, it's almost like the count to 10 idea. When you feel like getting angry, count to 10. Well, when somebody says something to you that feels like an attack, can you at least count to 3 or 4 before you say something in reaction to it? So you can go, hang on a second. They're coming from a place that is dark and upset. I don't need to do the same thing. Or I need to respond to that, but I can do it from a much cleaner place. Because frankly, that's mastery. When you can actually be responsive without being like in autopilot reactivity without any control. Because that's the trap we fall into, especially in life for a lot of people.
Very helpful. And I've learned myself and taught a lot of adults and children as well that if somebody, you feel your feelings are hurt, the first thing you can say is, ouch. Because if somebody did hurt you physically, you know, they bumped you accidentally or stepped on your foot accidentally, you would say, ouch, and they would notice. So when somebody hurts your feelings or upsets you, to have the first words out of your mouth not be fire-breathing dragon, but ouch. And if you've got that agreement, then they'll stop and say, what hurt? Because that's when you get to say, well, gosh, this is what I heard you say, and it hurt my feelings. And they can say, well, I did mean to hurt your feelings because I was upset, or gosh, that was not my intention at all, and I'm so sorry. So I love the counting. I really love the counting. And sometimes I've told people, I know you can't count right away, so say ouch, and then you can count to calm yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because we really want to say something when we're hurt and angry and frustrated and don't feel understood or cared about. We want to just blah. So blah out.
Right. But it's also, there's a part of the level of the playing field in a way. We don't want to be like the one is to put down and not be able to put the other person down. It's almost like it's like a match we're playing in some way, just some bizarre way of doing it. And is that sense, and I've also felt a couple of times, not always easy, but I've done this a few times, where somebody got upset with me for whatever reason, which wasn't accurate on my terms. And all I did was basically say, I understand, and I walked away. Now, the funny thing was, they got more upset. But I walked away in peace, which was an interesting place. And it's not to say to walk away or avoid these things, but when it's something where it's undeserved and unnecessary, and certainly unpleasant, being willing to step back from what's happening so one, yes, you can count to 10 and count to 3 and respond, but also you can just turn and walk away because it's nothing to do with you. That's a very powerful position to play in. And it's not always easy, because you don't want to turn the back on somebody who's upset with you, because you're going to go, what are they going to do back there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I've
you don't have somebody watching your 6, as they used to say on Blue Bloods, huh?
And I had an experience in actually in the Costco parking lot last week, where I was waiting for a spot to open up. And this happens, I'm sure it happens in every Costco parking lot. It gets very busy, so there's people waiting for spots to open up. There's waiting for the spot to open up. There's a car pulled up, another car came behind where they were, and pulled, and basically we were fighting for the spot. And I was just saying, and I was saying to the winner, I was here first, you were here second. And she was like, no, it wasn't that. And what I really got clear was, because I happened to notice, thankfully, which is what was fun about it, another spot opened up just past the other car. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to fight over this. I know I was in the right, but I'm not going to die on this hill. So let her have the space. And I moved parking somewhere else. And I actually walked into the store before she did, because I got out of the car quick and it was gone. But it was I was kind of chuckling to myself, because I was like, I didn't say I won necessarily, but I didn't fall into the trap, which is the big thing. And yes, sometimes in parking spots, it can feel that way. Maybe it's just an LA thing. I'm not sure it's true other places, but the fighting for that space can be such a life or death decision and a battle. So you will take it personally if you get cut off in the spot, you know? So there's lessons along the way. Lessons happen everywhere, frankly. And how we respond to them is the key.
Oh my goodness, that is so true. And learning how to regulate yourself, learning how to say, how important is this? One of the things that I've heard so many men say to women, including me, consider the source. And when I'm really mad, that's a very difficult place for me to come from. And when I'm not mad, I go, yeah, you're right. So that's the thing. That's what you did. Is she a worthy opponent to do anything more with? No. First, no about the parking spot. And then, oh my gosh, there's another one right there. There isn't even, it's not like you have to drive around for 5 more minutes, because the Costco I go to is the same way. Right. And so I admire that you think of it way before I certainly did, and a lot of women that I've talked to, because we can sometimes go, what do you mean consider the source? I'm still upset with her. Because I love how Allison's lately talked about how we women have this stack of pancakes of all of our feelings inside of us, and they're all being touched all the time about everything, every moment. We have lots of feelings about everything all the time. So we do have to sort out, okay, first I have to sort out my feelings, and then I can consider the source. So I just need you to listen to, so we sort out my feelings, and then I really will take your advice considering the source, because she was not a worthy opponent. But yeah, it's such a balancing act between the masculine, the masculine and the feminine reactions to this subject as well, because it's your honor, it's our feelings, it's your intellectual. Do we trust you? Do we not think you're smart when we are mean to you? And do we not think you care about our feelings? It's really very base things that feeling disapproved of and taking something personally, it goes back to the core things about us, which is why this is one of a really challenging thing that I will never do perfectly. I give myself so much grace that I will never be perfect at this. I am not an AI robot.
Indeed, you're not. It's interesting because you said something that just triggered a memory of a quote or a phrase I used to use a lot because I heard it from somebody else. Basically, it's really, and this is one of the things where I'm really feeling like I want to just put screws in and be really annoying. It's like oftentimes, it's hard to have a battle of wits with somebody who's unarmed. Because the thing is, it is an ego thing, definitely, absolutely. Because coming from my own academic upbringing, coming from England, there was a way of speaking that I think gave me a head start over a lot of other places, and I can use it, I can weaponize it that way if I'm not careful. But it's something that I've been in America long enough and don't use all the time. But I noticed that, especially when I'm watching something in the shows and go, oh yeah, I remember we used to do that, and see how the battle of wits would happen, And so nowadays it is much more about peace of mind and calmness that I'm more focused on. So having a place where I can be detached enough to walk away or to not take it personally is a place I spend a lot of my time now, and also help my clients with, because it is a real powerful place to come from. And in a relationship, not to be ignorant of your partner, but to be in a place where you can hold the space big enough so that person can be upset and you don't take it personally. So you can be a placeholder. Because the thing is, if you're in a loving relationship, they will come around back to you from a place of humility and of gratitude for you not like adding to the fire, because they've already got enough fuel going on themselves. And so in dating, as you mentioned earlier, I definitely agree with you, is to build that understanding with each other, to get to know the intimacy with each other, so you can feel, do they get triggered easily? Are they somebody who can really get into a conversation where we can get really deep and have real resolution from upset without getting blown up out of shape? Because that's the thing. It's easy to stay at the beginning, oh, everything's perfect, everything's wonderful. Then you get into a relationship, and then 3 months, 6 months down the road, something blows up, and the both of you are sitting in the corners like going, what did we do to each other? So opportunities.
You and I both gotten to such a place where I always say, what's going to be the benefit for me or them with what I say? And is this how I want to use my energy? Is it worth my energy? And what am I going to get back? And I practice it a lot before I'm upset so that it isn't quite as hard to access when I'm upset. And then hopefully you have a partner that is practicing it as well. So hopefully not both of you are upset at the same time, the same amount. But it's such a good technique to learn. And you've heard Barry and I have been on this journey for a long time. And that's why we're such good teachers, because we are pretty far ahead in this. And we're happy to teach you if you're sticking your toe in the water or in the middle of it and would like to have it feel less hard and less messy.
Yes.
So the way to talk to me is to go to my website. It's www.theperfectcatch.com. I came up with that name because first, it's important to learn how to be the perfect catch. And then, of course, you will attract the perfect catch. If you scroll to the middle of my website, you'll find a questionnaire, what's holding you back from love. It just has 8 brief questions about what's not working right now and what do you think would be better? And let's talk about it, because I take those questions and answers very seriously. And once you filled out the questionnaire, you'll have access to my online calendar, and you can make a complimentary appointment with me. You could also send me a personal email at christine@theperfectcatch.com. When you're on my website, please go to the top and you can download my free ebook. It's 10 years of my advice column and my newsletter. It has lots of wonderful free tips for you. Also, if you scroll to the bottom, you can click on all my social media of Facebook and LinkedIn and in Pinterest and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. And if you click on YouTube, you'll see Barry and I for over 5 years now, over 270 podcasts with lots and lots of information. You can also join my email list. Then you'll get a repeat of each week's live podcast, and you'll also find out the other things that I'm working on. My workshop's going to be out soon again. So, Barry, please tell people how to talk to you.
Certainly. I have lots of stuff as well. So go to my site, which is barryselby.com. As I mentioned, there's a button at the top you can get on my calendar. We can have a conversation. At the bottom of the homepage is where you can just jump into my email list without doing anything at all. Just put your name and email in. You get an email from me every week, including a replay of this show that we put out every week as well, plus other things I'm working on, so lots of new things brewing. At the middle of the homepage, there's a button when you click on, which is basically it's your relationship readiness assessment. Basically, it's a quiz. It's the first one of the 2 I have. And if you go on that page and you go to barryselby.com/quiz, if you want to do it directly, but basically it gives you a bunch of questions to consider. How prepared are you for your next date? How prepared are you for your next relationship? So I recommend before you go on a date, take the quiz, get to know where you are on the spectrum, so to speak, what's working for you, what isn't working for you, and you'll basically get some ideas and maybe some invitations to come work with me as well. That said, there are 2 assessments. There's a second assessment, which is basically a little bit deeper, but it's not a button you can click on if it goes to the actual address, which is barryselby.com/self-quiz, because this is the self-assessment. And basically, because I'm very much about your relationship with yourself, this is your self-relationship assessment. And this is a much deeper list of questions with more assessment, more processes. That is so deep. Instead of giving you an email, they'll give you actually a PDF you can download with lots of notes and tips and guidance in it. So free gift. But that's going to cover 7 areas of your life and what works, what doesn't work, and what can do better in. And that's really what I'm focusing on my work. So those 2 quizzes I have on my website. Additionally, I have my book, which has been out as a bestseller since 2013, which is called 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. If you want to test drive the book before buying it, yes, you can buy it on Amazon or buy the PDF, the ebook, or anything else. But the top of the book page, which you can go to directly at barryselby.com/book, is an audio recording created by AI. Yes, it is an AI-generated interview, but they took my book and basically teased it apart into a 12, 13-minute conversation with these 2 voices that really, really smart critics, in a way. I guess they're critics, they're book critics. But they're reviewing my book and they're really speaking well about my book. So I like having the audio, so I put it on my page. So if you want to listen to what my book's about, click on the button at the top of the book page and you can listen to it there. Other things on my site are being built and reset, so we'll talk about those. You can find me on social media. You can find me under the name Barry Selby on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, on Blue Sky, and on YouTube, where I have our show replayed there, plus about 1,000 other videos I've done over the years. So lots of content. If you go to my YouTube channel, please become a subscriber, because I want to put up my count of the people following me. If you want to find me on Instagram or Threads, it's the real Barry Selby, because that account got originally hacked, so I had to rebuild it as a new name, unfortunately. But I'm now established there as the real Barry Selby. And if you want to drop me an email, you send me one at barry@barryselby.com. I think that covers everything.
Perfect. So we are here live every week at 1 o'clock Pacific on Thursdays and 4 o'clock Eastern and all the times in between. We'd love to have you join us and ask us questions while we're live. We're happy to answer them. Then you can also watch our replays of these live shows, our videos, on Roku and YouTube. But if you want to take us with them, how would they do that, Barry?
Yes, we actually have the show now put up on the podcast platform. So if you're a podcast fan, which I think a lot of people are, if you look for Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry, you'll find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Amazon, wherever you listen to different podcasts. You will have a chance to listen to our shows, all 270 plus, as Christine mentioned. That will give you a whole smorgasbord of ideas and concepts and teachings. Words to come out. But basically, there's a lot of good information in there that we've done over the years that will really help you have better chances in dating and love and relationships. So it's free. Go listen, enjoy it. And please definitely like us, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'd love to have you share it out in the world.
And you'll get filled up just like a smorgasbord, right?
Yes.
We'll be back live next week to have another interesting show about dating and relationships. We'll look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now.
Take care. See ya.